Hey everybody, I am Mar, and what I watched today is Book 2, Chapter 12 of Avatar The Last Airbender, The Journey to Ba Sing Se, Part 1, The Serpents Pass. We pick up what I'm assuming is not long after the last episode, but long enough that Aang has had some time to cool down and they've gotten out of the desert. They're enjoying a nice soak in a river while Sokka reads his maps, informing them that the only route to Ba Sing Se is a land bridge called the Serpents Pass. It's at this point when they're deciding to go on the Serpents Pass that some refugees appear, informing that, the Serpents Pass is a very dangerous and deadly route, and it's much safer to take a ferry to Ba Sing Se. And they offer, of course, to show Aang and company the route to the ferry, assuming that they're just fellow refugees. Which they sort of are, so it fits. And in it, I really gotta compliment the animators on this, because the couple that are part of this group look very familiar to me, and I'm quite certain that they are the ones from the earlier episode right after Zuko had split from Iroh, where he was considering robbing a refugee camp that he had seen. But he stopped when he saw that one of them was a pregnant wife. And again, I'm pretty sure this is the exact same pregnant woman. So it's kind of nice that they put that touch in there. We switch right then to Zuko and Iroh already on a ferry, and Iroh looks deeply contemplative, and he's like, "Whoever fought after all these years, I'd be returning to the scene of my greatest military defeat. As a tourist!" Classic Iroh. While Zuko complains loudly about their living situation now, he's greeted by none other than a less savory character, Jet. I still dislike him after our little session with him last season, and yeah. Anyhow, he approaches Zuko with a plan to liberate some of the better food that he knows the captain of the ship is eating. And, it's not a bad plan, and at least it seems like he's not being completely self-serving so far. But, in the meantime, we return to the ferries, and another familiar face. Cabbage selling guy. This is just Cameo City this episode. And he's told in no uncertain terms that his cabbages cannot come on the ferry, and they are promptly destroyed by a giant bear wearing a vest and a fez. I'm almost sad that it wasn't the Avatar and company who destroyed them this time, but I'm glad that they sort of overturned the running gag, instead of just going with it, they turned it over and basically subverted it and went, nope, this time it is something completely different that destroys his cabbages. So again, kudos, writers. Thank you. Initially, Aang and company are refused passage on the ferry. Aang even tries to pull the whole "I'm the Avatar" card. And he gets a hilarious response. It's like, "You're the 5th Avatar today, and your costume isn't even that good." This happens to celebrities all the time in the real world. And from what I know, too, a lot of characters in TV shows, that the impersonators are often seen as better them than they are. Toph, however, manages to use her family name to get them some tickets, claiming that the others are her valets, and since animals aren't allowed, she has to claim Momo as her seeing eye lemur, but she gets them the tickets. Which is really, cool, seeing Toph able to use something other than her earthbending to help them get something done. And I do love that the bureaucrat lady is just, so eager to please Toph because of the Baifong name. She's your typical, ass-kissing bureaucrat. And it's a really great moment. And, after they get their tickets, Sokka immediately gets accosted by a female guard, given a severe dressing down. He doesn't realize until she kisses his cheek that it's Suki. I gotta say, I gotta hand it to the animators, big time. I had a suspicion she was Suki from the very first moment, not just because her voice is the same, but because the details of her face are so well done, that even without the makeup, I was like, hey, wait a minute, it's Suki! If you guys remember from my earlier episodes, I love that character. And so, right after that, we get a fun scene of her catching up with the group, talking about them, why are they here, what's going on, and then, she gets to the moment where she's like, well, where's Appa? Why didn't you guys just fly over instead of taking the ferry? There's this moment of, awkward silence, everyone's like, yeah, and then, she handles it well, she asks Aang how he's holding up, and, Aang tries to be strong about it, he's like, nope, I'm fine. And, moments later, they are contacted by the family of refugees who helped them get here, and they find out that their friends were robbed. All their stuff, their passports, their tickets, gone. And when Aang finds out that he can't just give his tickets to this family, he vows to lead them safely through the Serpent's Pass. And I love that. Like, even though it'd be much safer and faster for him to take the ferry, or maybe not faster, but much safer, he can't leave this family behind. He cares about them. He's, like, even though he just met them, he cares about these people. And with a baby on the way, he doesn't want to leave them behind, because now they have no other way to reach Ba Sing Se in safety. So, he puts it on himself to go, and of course his friends go with him. As they leave, Suki decides to come, and Sokka, he tries to dissuade her at first, and it initially almost seems like he's slipping into his old ways, going, no, it's too dangerous, you're a girl, you can't come. But then you notice the expression on his face. He's afraid. He knows it's dangerous, and he's afraid to have her come along. He's afraid to lose someone else he cares for. And much as I dislike the romance between him and Yue, I love that they put this stuff into the episode. It gets it gets expanded on more later, but I'm so happy that this was included. And especially this little moment, these little details you can catch early on to go wait, there's a reason why he's so afraid to have her come with them. And this is reinforced, this feeling of his is reinforced as they're crossing the path, and he is protective of Suki. There's various dangers that he protects her from, and once they make camp, he's overprotective to a comedic degree. And at that point, I got the feeling that there was very soon going to be a confrontation between him and her, basically going okay, why are you acting like this? I can take care of myself, and we'll get to that scene in a moment. We get a quick scene here though of Zuko and Jet stealing the food, and while it's a very well animated and really great scene for action, there's absolutely no dialogue, and there's not really much to say about it. And then we get a scene with Aang standing under the moon, and he's been acting kind of cold all episode, and this is when Katara confronts him about it and says, it's okay to feel. It's okay, I'm here for you. And Aang, he admits he's too scared to let himself do that. After the way he lost control in the desert, he's too scared to confront his, fear and his anger, his feelings of loss over Appa. And we transition from this to Suki confronting Sokka under the full moon, which, a little funny since Yue is now the moon spirit. And, she tells him, it's you don't have to be so protective of me. I can take care of myself. And Sokka, he has this really forlorn look as he says, I know, it's hard to lose someone you care about. He tells her very briefly about the North Pole and, what happened. And Suki admits, she's I know how it feels to lose someone you care about. And, she talks for a bit, and, it's he didn't die, but he went away. And it's a little funny because they give us a comedy moment to break up all this, really tense, serious stuff. And, so I was who is he? And, getting really jealous. And so Suki's just it's you, stupid. I love these two together. It is hilarious. But when she moves to kiss him, Sokka can't. He's still conflicted. He's still... he's afraid to get too close after what happened to Yue. And perhaps he still even has some feelings for Yue that he hasn't resolved. He's afraid... he's afraid that if he gets close to her again and allows himself to feel that way again, that he won't be able to protect her, just like he wasn't able to protect Yue. She tries to apologize here, saying, she... Suki feels it's her fault. But, Sokka in a very wise moment says, it's not your fault. It's not your fault how I'm feeling. And I really love that. It's a really great thing to put into a kid's show. It's not her fault how he's feeling. He has his own things to work out. We return to the boat and discover in a kind of comedic scene that Smellerbee from Jet's little gang is a girl. And Iroh, only, accidentally discovered this by, commenting on her being a guy, and, she freaks out, and it's okay. I do love that, it just came up organically like that. Iroh meant nothing by it, but, it was, this little moment for them. And I do love that they gave her this line there where when Longshot goes to calm her down, and she's yeah, I know. As long as I'm confident with who I am, it doesn't matter what other people think. It speaks well to the idea that there's nothing wrong with not looking traditionally feminine for a girl. Like, she's perfectly, as long as she's comfortable and feels confident as she is, then all the better for her. And it's in this scene that we also saw that Jet actually did share the food with the other refugees. Knowing his past, I almost assumed that he was going to keep it for himself and his gang and maybe give some to Zuko and Iroh. But no, he shared it with all the other refugees, and that really, he's still a dick, and I still don't trust him, but it's a little bit more of a redemption for him. We return to Aang's group on the Serpents Pass, and they find part of it submerged using an awesome waterbending move to sort of make a tunnel through the water as they walk. And, that is so cool. They're walking underwater, you get some beautiful scenes of the fish, swimming around them, and it is beautifully done. Of course, this tranquil moment is interrupted by a giant-ass sea serpent bursting through their little bubble. As, Toph raises up a platform to give them some, land to fight on and getting them above the water surface again, we see that it looks a lot like the Unagi from earlier, but, mixed with a seahorse, and it is just, it is an awesome design. I love it. Aang starts distracting the beast while Katara makes an ice bridge so that everyone can get back to the dry land portion of the Serpents Pass. And then she goes to help Aang in the fight using this water bending technique that's just awesome. She freezes water around her feet and then uses those ice bits, the flotation from them, to sort of skate along the water and helps him fight. Now, during the fight, the ice bridge gets smashed while Toph is still on it. She's having a lot of trouble crossing it. She can't feel vibrations through ice, obviously, and she's really freaked out trying to go across it. It gets smashed, she gets thrown in the water, and while Sokka says, I'm coming for you, Toph, Suki beats him to the water and jumps in. And then, we get a really funny moment after she grabs Toph, where Toph's like, "Oh, Sokka, thank you for saving my life," and kisses Suki's cheek. And then when Suki says, it's Toph, it's me. Toph's like, "You can let me drown now." That was an adorable moment. Slight aside, I really I know it's a cartoon, but part of me was wow, I wish I knew what was in Suki's makeup, because I do a lot of costuming stuff, and it was and I was oh wow, she's swimming and that stuff isn't running at all. Half the stuff I have, if I sweat too much, it just goes boom, right away, gone. And yeah, it's Aang and Katara managed to drive the creature away with some really impressive water bending, creating a huge whirlpool that swings it around until its head smashes into the pass. And it kind of goes, the typical Predator thing is okay, these guys are not worth my trouble, I'm out of here. And once they get to the end of the pass, the refugee woman goes into labor. Sokka just is freaking the hell out. Katara's keeping a completely cool head. He's but it's a living human thing! It's called a baby. And it's in the sequence that Katara reveals that back home in the Salvan tribe, she helped her grandmother be a midwife to several women. And Sokka at first is it's this isn't a harp seal or whatever, this isn't a seal, pup. And Katara's no, I helped deliver human babies too, you idiot. And she sends him to get water, Aang to get cloth, and is okay, this is the stuff we need. And then we jump to her having delivered the baby, and yeah, well, I'll get to that in a moment. But we also have a brief moment in here of Zuko and Jet talking together, and Zuko says a great line here. "I realize that sometimes being alone isn't the best path." And yeah, that's been a big arc for Zuko, is realizing that he has to rely on other people, that he can't do everything alone. And I just love that. Great. I love that he actually said it, because it actually drives home, this is what he's been learning this whole time. He can't do anything on his own. He needs other people. And that is not weakness. Back at the delivery, once the kid is delivered, everyone crowds in, all the girls are "Oh, she's so beautiful," and Sokka's "It's so squishy looking." Classic Sokka line. We even get a small smile from Aang at the sight of the newborn, and he realizes when he sees this hope, this symbol of hope, this newborn baby with so much hope for the future, he realizes he wasn't being strong, shutting off his feelings. He was just running away from them. And now that he's realized that, he needs to let himself feel, because true strength is confronting your feelings, not burying them and running away. Aang and Momo go ahead at this point to Ba Sing Se using his glider and, well, Momo's ability to fly, to find Appa while the others continue on foot. It's at this point that Sokka and Suki share a moment I just loved, where Sokka, like, you know, he realized, like, after seeing this baby and, like, you know, and seeing the hope, and also, like, after the scene earlier where Suki was the one who rescued Toph, that, like, you know, she's so strong. And then Suki reveals that the only reason she came with them was to protect him, because, you know, she cares about him deeply too and doesn't want to lose him. And that means something to me, that, like, you know, it's like there's this strong girl like Sokka enough that she abandoned her post and came with him just because she couldn't bear the idea of him, you know, braving such a dangerous pass when she could potentially be there to help him. And they share a beautiful kiss, and, like, I mean, you guys know how much I love this couple, so this moment was just great for me. I loved it. There's a really beautiful shot here of Aang gliding up the walls of Ba Sing Se. Then as he lands and drops on the walls, your gut just drops out as you see this ginormous Fire Nation drill and a ton of tanks headed for the wall. And that's where they leave us off. So join me again later when we hit part 2. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.